This video will be an example using a for loop in Java. We're going to solve this exercise. Write a Java program to prompt the user to enter 5 integer values. For each value, print a message saying if the integer is even or odd. Use a for loop to do this. So let's go ahead and we did an even odd example in week 2, so we can lean on that if we want to. So let's go ahead and start a Java program using JDoodle. Let's get rid of the comments and boilerplate. Okay, I'm going to need a scanner, of course. First thing I want to do is create the scanner. Semicolon. Okay, so now I have a scanner. So now what we want to do is we want a for loop. We want to prompt the user for an integer and want to print out if that integer is even or odd, and we want to do that 5 times. So first thing I'm going to do is a for loop. So define a for loop, I use the keyword for, then I open a set of parentheses, and in here I need 3 initialization statements. I would need to initialize my counter, int I equals 1, separated by semicolon. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever, I just want to make sure that I'm doing this 5 times. So then my expression will be I less than or equal to 5. In this case, because I'm starting at 1, I will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then once I goes to 6, my Boolean expression will no longer be true and my loop will end. So we'll execute it 5 times. It's very common to see for loops in Java start at 0. In this case, we're starting at 1 just because the context is helping us do that, but it's very common to see for loops start at 0 instead of 1. And so in this case, it would be starting at 0, and then it would be I less than 5, and then my iterations would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, still 5 iterations. So just keep in mind, if you're starting at 1 or 0, be careful with your Boolean expression in the loop. The third initialization I need is an incrementer. So I'm just going to use I++. This simply adds 1 to I at the end of each iteration. Okay, now inside the for loop, I want to prompt the user for an integer. And then I'll call my even odd function to determine if it's even or odd, and I'll print out the result. So let's go ahead and print out a prompt to the user. Enter an integer. Let's just use print on that, and then we'll just have to use the user input will be on the same line. Enter an integer, and then we'll do string input equals scanner dot next line. We'll then cast that into an integer. Oops, made a mistake there. It's semicolon. And then we want to print out a message. So we'll use an even odd method. So let's go ahead and do the printf or system.printf. And so we'll say we'll print the integer that will echo back the integer. So that would be a %d, and then we'll say %s, and then the replacement values will be value, and the result of our even odd function. Okay. Now, and then that's it. And then once the for loop is over, then we'll say the end. Okay. Now, if we try to compile this, I'm going to get an error that says even odd is not defined. So we've called a function, a method right here at line 10, but we haven't defined that function. So we need to go ahead and find that. So we want to make sure that when we define a function that it is inside the class, but outside the main method. So we'll put that there, public, static. It's going to return a string value. It's going to be called even odd. This is very similar to an example we did in previous week. Takes an integer value, and it just returns if the We want to do a modulus calculation and return if the value is even or odd. If value mod 2, remember mod is finds the remainder. If value mod 2 equals 0, then we know that this value is even. Otherwise, we know that this value is odd. Okay, let's go ahead and run that. I made another mistake. System.out.printf on line 10. Enter an integer. 12. 12 is even, enter an integer. Oh, we've got a little bit of an alignment problem there. Because we're using printf, we need to go ahead and put a new line here on line 10. So let's go ahead and stop that execution. And here on line 10, let's go ahead and put 2 new lines. So that way we'll get a little spacing. Using the %n formatting code will give us a new line. So 12 is even, 15. That's 2 integers, 90 minus 10. And a big one. Okay, and that's it. So after 5 times, our for loop ends, and the program terminates. But I'm going to go ahead and save this, of course, to make sure that I have saved my work and that I can submit it or use it later if I need it.